Verwirrung, Zweitracht, Unordnung, Beamtenherrschaft, Grummet. In fact, the Illuminatus trilogy, so-called, is actually in 5 books. It was published in 3 volumes and became known as the trilogy. And each section, each book is titled Verwirrung, Zweitracht. For example, at the beginning it goes, Verwirrung. The history of the world is the history of the warfare between secret societies. When I only had the book 1, what I did with myself was I travelled around, I tried to unearth all the books and references which are particularly in the memos section of book 1, book 1 of the trilogy, the Eye in the Pyramid, that being. And at one time I managed to locate Nestor Webster's World Revolution, which contributes one of the memos, at a place called Britton's Publishing Company, which was somewhere, as I recall, in North Devon. Also, they confirmed at Britton's that if I came in person, I would be able to obtain a copy of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which they also had there. Anyway, I got to it. It was a strange business. It was there was a printing press at the bottom of the garden, and a very old, gaunt, very distinguished man who seemed to be he was the Britton's man. And he was chatting. I remember he had a very charming Down syndrome daughter in her 20s who served us tea. And he was very gaunt, a bit like when one sees pictures of H.P. Lovecraft. And he told me about himself that his father had been some heavy umpteen-degree Mason, and he rebelled against his father by becoming a stern Roman Catholic, and had then devoted his life to unmasking the conspiracy and tracing it backwards and backwards in time. And he said to me, "Young man, what is your interest in the conspiracy?" And I said, "Do you know the paperback books by Robert and Robert Anton Wilson?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, then I was thinking of possibly putting on a dramatic piece based on their ideas of the conspiracy." And he looked at me very sternly and he said, "Do not play with the conspiracy. The conspiracy is real. And given my beliefs, you will forgive my terminology. I trace it back to the devil." When I got back home, it turned out that I'd now been sent book 2. Book 2 of the Illuminatus. And on the back cover, it read, "Was it Lucifer Saul Goodman was after?" He was almost beginning to believe it was. I remember when we were in Liverpool, the Latin master, George Harvey Webb, got very taken with this Verwirrung, Zweitracht, Unordnung, Beamtenherrschaft, Grummet business. What this purports to be is the secret teachings of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt's Illuminati, and it's how one understands the history of all civilizations. I.e., they begin with the Verwirrung period. The Verwirrung period being a kind of chaotic equality of folk, which is fast followed by the Zweitracht period, when a bunch of the equal chaotic folk reckon that they are superior to some of the others and put themselves up the top. And then you move into the Unordnung period, where a bunch of those at the bottom reckon that they're not being served admirably by the ones at the top. It's kind of the Revolution period, Unordnung. And then whatever are the results of the Unordnung period, you move into the Beamten Herrschaft period. Here's what Wilson has to say on that period. This is the age of bureaucracy. To have every operation, every transaction, every movement noted, registered, counted, rated, stamped, measured, numbered, assessed, licensed, refused, authorised, endorsed, admonished, prevented, reformed, redressed, corrected, to be laid under contribution, drilled, fleeced, exploited, monopolised, extorted from, exhausted, hoaxed, and robbed. And what happens when you're in the Beamten Herrschaft period, which could theoretically carry on until the end of the means of communication. So in the days of paper, when we were paper run, then theoretically a Beamten Herrschaft period goes on until the end of trees. But now we're in the days of silicon. I guess it's still, so that our current Beamten Herrschaft period could theoretically go on till the end of sand, but it won't. That's because of the forces of grummet. What happens is, we start to pull it down from within. Here's Wilson. The age of grummet begins, sounds quite attractive. The age of grummet begins with an upsurge of magicians, hoaxers, yippies, kabooters, shamans, clowns, and other heuristic forces. It's just, I remember a night with the Latin master. He got very into that. And he started talking about the Islamic world. It wasn't back in 1976, a thing I never thought much about. And he started to draw on a map all over the areas of Islam. And he said it's time for their Unordnung period. He said it could be catastrophic, couldn't it, don't you think, boys? He said, if we're busy grummeting away at our Beamten Herrschaft, while they go into some monumental Unordnung of their own. Was it Lucifer Saul Goodman was after? He was almost beginning to believe it was.